Welcome back to Product X, where we decode future unicorns with the sharp intuition of capital and the hardcore logic of an architect. I'm Rena. Today we're looking at a company that just closed a $10 million Series A with a mission that's as bold as it gets. Building what they call the Kubernetes of the LLM era. TrueFoundry, a Palo Alto-based startup, wants to help enterprises deploy, fine-tune, and run large language models entirely within their own private cloud environments, without the vendor lock-in and without the massive compute costs. So Vivian, want to kick us off?
Hey Rena, hey Nolan. I'm Vivian, a senior angel investor at Pre-Angel Fund. Honestly, when I saw this round, I knew we had to talk about it. The enterprise AI space has been waiting for a team that actually understands both the money side and the infrastructure side. This is exactly that.
And Nolan, your turn.
Hey everyone, I'm Nolan, a former CTO and architect from some of the biggest tech companies in Silicon Valley. I've spent years building the kind of systems TrueFoundry is now productizing, so I can tell you firsthand, what they're attempting is incredibly ambitious and incredibly needed.
All right, let's get into it. The enterprise AI market right now is facing this brutal dilemma. Use public cloud APIs and your data privacy goes out the window, or try to self-host open source models and suddenly you're drowning in GPU orchestration nightmares. TrueFoundry is positioning themselves right in that gap. So Vivian, let's start with the team and the money. What makes this $10 million raise significant?
The team is really the story here. You have 3 founders, all from Meta's core machine learning infrastructure team. They spent years inside one of the most demanding ML environments in the world, figuring out how to eke out maximum throughput with minimum GPU spend. That kind of hyperscale experience is exactly what the enterprise market is missing right now. And the financial math is compelling. A senior AI DevOps engineer runs $300,000 plus per year, and you need a whole team to build this yourself. TrueFoundry is essentially packaging that elite capability into subscription software that a regular engineer can use.
Nolan, from a technical architecture standpoint, what does it actually take to make private LLM deployment work smoothly?
Here's the thing. It's nowhere near as simple as running a Docker container. The challenges are brutal. You've got heterogeneous compute scheduling across different cloud providers and on-premise hardware. You have the memory wall problem during inference, and you need automated fine-tuning pipelines that can handle things like LoRa and QLoRa without requiring a PhD to operate. TrueFoundry's approach with their decoupled control and data plane architecture actually tackles these head-on. They containerize all the CUDA and PyTorch complexity up front, so users just connect their dataset through a GUI and the system handles the rest.
Vivian, let's talk about the competitive angle. Why does this win in the enterprise space?
The model layer itself is becoming commoditized. Llama keeps getting better. Mistral keeps releasing new weights. The real battleground is who can safely, cheaply, and quickly get models into production with a company's own data. That's where infrastructure plays like TrueFoundry become the picks and shovels. They're positioning as the unavoidable toll booth on the path to enterprise AI adoption.
I want to push back a little here. The infrastructure play is real, but the next mountain they have to climb is the observability and model routing piece. In production, enterprises aren't running one model, they're running dozens of fine-tuned variants for different tasks. Hot-swapping LoRa weights at millisecond granularity, detecting hallucinations in real time, feeding that back into retraining loops. That closed loop is where the true moat will be built.
That's a great point. So both of you are essentially saying the $10 million is just the beginning, and the real prize is capturing that full lifecycle orchestration. Let's move to our next topic. Vivian, what's your read on the TCO calculation here for enterprises?
The math is pretty staggering. If you're a financial institution or healthcare company, sending data to an external API is a compliance non-starter. You're looking at building your own infrastructure, which means hiring a team, buying GPUs, dealing with maintenance. TrueFoundry claims they can cut capital expenditure and time to value by up to 80%. That is a massive ROI proposition, especially when you're dealing with sensitive data that cannot leave your VPC.
Nolan, can you break down the technical piece that makes that cost reduction possible?
It's the inference optimization, honestly. The biggest waste in LLM deployment is memory fragmentation. TrueFoundry integrates vLLM and uses continuous batching and paged attention to radically increase throughput. They're monitoring GPU memory watermarks in real time and routing requests to the lowest load node at microsecond speed. The result is you can handle double the concurrent queries with the exact same hardware. That's where the cost savings come from.
Let's get into the architecture one more time. Nolan, you mentioned multi-cloud orchestration. How does TrueFoundry handle that without creating vendor lock-in of their own?
The smart move here is they don't force you into any single cloud. You can host the control plane with them, but distribute worker nodes across AWS, GCP, or even on-premise bare metal. The container schedules itself to wherever the compute actually lives. It's the wherever the compute is, that is where it schedules model. That completely shatters the traditional vendor lock in that cloud giants have been relying on.
Okay, let's wrap this section with one more question. Vivian, in terms of market timing, why now?
The timing is perfect because the model quality finally crossed the threshold where enterprises actually want to use these things, but the infrastructure hasn't caught up. For the past year, everyone was still in experimentation mode. Now they're moving to production, and production means they need what TrueFoundry is building. That's the inflection point.
All right, let's do our lightning round. Quick answers, no long explanations. First question, Nolan, what's the most impressive piece of tech under TrueFoundry's hood?
The continuous batching scheduler. That's the engine that makes the cost savings real.
Vivian, best use case for an enterprise to start with on this platform?
Customer support automation. High volume, sensitive data, clear ROI.
Nolan, one technical risk they still need to solve.
The model routing and hot swapping at scale. That's the next frontier.
Vivian, if you were advising the founders, one thing you'd tell them to prioritize?
Enterprise sales motion. Great tech won't matter if they can't land big accounts.
Last one for both. Nolan first. In one word, what's the future of LLMOps?
Automation.
Vivian?
Standardization.
I love that contrast. Okay, time to close. Vivian, in one sentence, what's the key thing our audience should remember about TrueFoundry?
TrueFoundry is building the essential infrastructure layer that lets enterprises deploy private LLMs without the massive cost and complexity that has been blocking mainstream adoption.
Nolan, your one sentence.
Their architecture proves you can abstract away all the GPU orchestration pain while still giving enterprises the performance and flexibility they need to run LLMs in production at scale.
Thanks to both of you for the deep dive. That's Product X for today. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe and join us next time as we continue decoding the next big thing in tech. See you then.